Welcome to the ESD 8.4 Release Overview, brought to you by Illuminate Education. My name is Ken Williams, the Product Manager for the ESD product. In the 8.4 release, we will be bringing you the Google Classroom integration as well as virtual attendance. With our Google Classroom integration, teachers will be able to link existing assignments to Google Classroom assignments, link assignments to Google Classroom when you create the assignment, and import new assignments from Google Classroom that are already linked. Once a Teacher Connect assignment is linked to a Google Classroom assignment, then the student's grades for the assignment can be synced. Teachers can sync grades for the assignments in the Teacher Connect gradebook whenever it is convenient for them. Guru users can set up a Google Classroom Zap that will enable districts to automatically sync linked assignments overnight. We will be running pilots at select districts over the next 2 weeks and will communicate full customer availability through our support partners. In order to begin the setup for your Google Classroom integration, you want to navigate to Interoperability, Partners, Google Classroom. Here on the radio buttons for Enabled, you want to select Yes. Then you need to upload the JSON file that your district IT department gives you after they configure the Google Classroom G Suite Enterprise account to allow Illuminate to pull assignments and sync grades through the Google Classroom API. Illuminate has provided instructions to your district IT department, giving them step-by-step detailed instructions on how they can do this. Once you receive the JSON file from your district IT, you want to upload it, and then test your configuration and press Save. Once you've enabled your API and tested it, now it's important to make sure that you have the correct email address information in the system. For this, you will need to make sure that you've got the correct email addresses for both teachers and students. For teachers, you want to go to System, Staff, Staff Record, and make sure that the email address there is populated, not the alternate email address, but the email address. The email address that is populated in this field must be the same email address that the teacher uses to sign in to Google Classroom. For students, you'll want to go to the Student Profile Registration tab, and again, make sure that you have populated the same email address that the student uses to log in to Google Classroom. If you do not have these email addresses populated, then if you're in Guru, you can create a Zap and import these email addresses through a Zap. If you're a non-Guru customers, you can send us a template to build out an import for you. Next, we want to talk about setting up Guru Zaps. This is for Guru customers only. You want to go into Guru Zaps, create a new Zap. Enter a title that describes what you would like to call the Zap. We suggest something like Google Classroom Sync. Then, from the Action Type dropdown, select the Google Classroom action. Next, you want to configure your options for your Google Classroom Sync. You'll notice an option called the Sync Date Range Picker. This option controls how many days before and after an assignment due date are included in a Google Classroom Sync. The maximum setting is shown as 15. This means the Zap will look for assignments where grades need to be synced within 15 days before or after the assignment's due date. If you leave this value blank, it will default to syncing the assignment's due date on the same day. Please note the more days you enter into the Sync Date Range Picker, the longer your Zap will take to run and complete. Set this value based on your district's grading policies. Edits made to grades outside of this due date range will not get updated during the sync process. Then you want to select your type. The only type available is a sync. You want to configure it to run every day. And we also suggest if you've set your Sync Date Range Picker at greater than 5 days, that you run it at night, not during peak performance hours, in order to help the system make sure the system performs optimally for your users while they're using the system. Next, we want to talk about linking assignments in Google Classroom. The first method we want to talk about is linking an existing assignment from Teacher Connect to Google Classroom. In order to do this, you'll go into Teacher Connect, go to the gradebook, select the assignment that you want to link, go to the drop-down menu on the far right-hand side, and select Link Google Classroom. Once you select Link Google Classroom, you'll be presented with a modal that will allow you to select the course. When you hit the drop-down, you will see all of your courses that you have in Google Classroom. Select the correct course. Once you select the correct course, the assignments are then filtered to only show you the assignments, the Google Classroom assignments that are in that Google Classroom course. So you'll want to select the assignment and then select the link button. Next, we want to show you how to link a Google Classroom assignment when you're creating a new assignment. For this, when you create the new assignment, go to the bottom left-hand corner of the modal, select the Link to Classroom button. Once you select the Link to Classroom button, again, you will be presented with the classroom courses in order for you to select a course from Google Classroom. Once you select the course, your assignments will then be filtered based on the course that you've selected, and you will be able to link your assignment to the Google Classroom course. The next method we want to talk to you about is we want to talk to you about importing Google Classroom assignments into Teacher Connect. Utilize this when you have not created the assignment in Teacher Connect and you want to import assignments and create them. This will save you a step. You'll no longer have to create the assignment first in Teacher Connect and then link it and then sync it. You can simply go into your gradebook. You can click the Setup button. Once you click the Setup button, it will take you into your gradebook setup, and you will see on the right-hand side of the screen, you will see the Import Assignments button. When you select the Import Assignments button, you'll be presented with a modal that will give you a category, classroom courses, and classroom assignments. This is very important. You need to make sure that you select the correct category, and when you select the correct category, you want to make sure that you only select assignments that go with that category. A use case for this could be you've been working in Google Classroom all week, and now you want to go in and you want to import your homework assignments into Google Classroom. Notice you can import multiple assignments at a time. That's a really cool feature. It means you can work throughout the week in Google Classroom, and then on Thursday or Friday, you can import all of the assignments that you've been working on in Google Classroom into your Teacher Connect gradebook. But again, when you're picking your homework category, you don't want to pick 2 homework assignments and 1 quiz assignment because that'll associate that quiz assignment with the wrong category. Once you've selected the category and the classroom course and you've imported, you'll see on the gradebook setup page that the courses have been imported at the bottom. Now that I've shown you how to link assignments to Google Classroom, it's important to talk about how these assignments get synced. Once you have linked an assignment to a Google Classroom assignment, you can then go to that assignment in Teacher Connect. You can select the drop-down in the far right-hand corner, and you'll notice since it's linked, you will have a Sync Google Classroom button. Once you select the Sync Google Classroom button, the grades for that assignment will automatically populate based on what you have entered into Google Classroom. Any assignments that are linked to a Google Classroom assignment cannot be edited in Teacher Connect. You have to sync them with Google Classroom. So once you've linked an assignment in Teacher Connect to a Google Classroom assignment, you need to make sure that you make all edits in Google Classroom. Also, this is what the Zap does that we showed you earlier. So if you forget to sync a Google Classroom assignment, that's okay. When the Zap runs overnight, all of your linked assignments will then be resynced. Now, let's talk about virtual attendance. So, virtual attendance, we have provided the ability to associate custom codes as virtual learning codes. We've also provided the ability to configure one custom code as a virtual learning only code. Once your learning codes are set up, you can assign students to the learning codes, creating your groups for virtual learning. A student can only be assigned to one virtual learning code at a time. Learning codes can be associated with day codes or specific days of the week on the school calendar. The current students filter in Teacher Connect has also been updated to allow teachers to filter between student at home learning and students at school learning. There's also been several reports and ZAP that have been updated to support this new functionality. So the first thing we want to do is from System Codes, click the indicator column to select a color. Once you have selected a color, then you can edit the student status, and you'll have the ability to associate the code as a learning code or select it as a virtual learning only code. Once you have created your learning codes, you can then go associate students with those codes through Mass Update. So you want to go to Mass Update Student Status and use that wizard to then associate all of the students that you wish with the appropriate learning code. Now that you have associated your students with learning codes, you can add your learning codes to the school calendar. So you can assign learning codes to the school calendar either by assigning the learning code to a day code or to a day of the week. Learning codes should be assigned to the calendar to signify students who are scheduled to be remote. Set up by day code. You want to go to District, Calendar, Setup, Day Code. Here you can select the Learning Codes option. When you select the Learning Codes option, you will see you can do it by day code. You can also do it by day of the week. When you do it by day of the week, select the Edit button on the day of the week, and then assign that day of the week to a remote learning code. Also, from your calendar, you can go to the calendar and edit any day of the week that you would like and change what learning code you have assigned to be virtual learning on that day. You can also do it, you can also set it up by day of the week and associate the appropriate learning codes with the day of the week and then press save. Once you have successfully associated your learning codes with the correct day codes, assign the appropriate day codes to your semesters and select Generate. Then you can review your results. Now you can set up weekly learning codes by setting it up by week name. Just go into each day of the week and select what learning code that you would like to associate with that day of the week. This is if you're setting up a weekly plan. Then once you set up your weekly plan, hit Generate and then view your results. In Teacher Connect, we have updated the current students filter to allow teachers to filter between at school and at home students. We've done this on the attendance roster. We've done this in the grade book. We've also done this on the progress report, as well as the learning standards screen. We've also added the indicator column and made it sortable on all of these screens so that along with filtering by at home and virtual learning students, you can also sort the page as well. As far as attendance report updates go, you can go to Student Attendance, Attendance Status by Day, and you can see that we've added a learning code filter to the Attendance Status by Day report. We've also added a remote column to the report so that you can see who should be remote and who should be at school for that day. We've also added the remote column to the Excel export that is run from this screen. When you look at the student attendance daily attendance status by date, you will also see that we have added a remote column. We've also added the column to the daily attendance reconciliation as well as the period attendance reconciliation. When you go into your period attendance reconciliation, we've added a student status filter where you can select the different learning codes that you have, as well as the remote column in the results. And again, like all of the other attendance reports, when you select the Excel download, the remote column has also been added to the download. When you configure your School Messengers app, you'll see that we have added two different options. You've got include all students. If you include all students, then the School Messengers app will behave exactly the same way that it does now. It will include all students. You can also set it up to exclude virtual learning students. That means that only the students who were at school that day will be exported to School Messenger. You can also create a virtual learning students only, which means all of the remote students will be exported to School Messenger. You can also create 3 unique zaps, one with each option, based on what type of call out that you want to do in order to give yourself as much flexibility as possible in configuring the system. Also, we've updated Guru API attendance endpoints. We added the is remote option to multiple endpoints in order to share virtual attendance information with third-party vendors. You see below the attendance endpoints that we updated. We also added learning code information to the following endpoints in order to share accurate roster information with third-party vendors, as you can see below. And lastly, we updated the daily medication screen. So if you go to student health list, daily medications, you'll see that we added a learning code filter where you can select your learning codes. And then we also added a learning code column onto the screen, as well as included it in the Excel download. Thank you for attending our ESD 8.4 release overview. We hope that these features help you get through your school startup in such a crazy hybrid learning model environment. We hope that these features make your life a little bit easier. We hope that the Google Classroom integration keeps you from having to do double work in between Google Classroom and Teacher Connect. And we hope that this virtual attendance system helps you keep up with who should be virtual learning versus who should be at school on any given day. And I want to thank you very, very much for being our customer, and I hope you have a great day.